think the cell of greatest concern right now, as you can see, moving our street level mapping on there and pointed out kind of the core of the cell is right there. You know, when you tend to see as it time lapses along from left to right, when you see that magenta color, sometimes that means there's hail present with it because it's very, very intense precipitation. But even the colors that you're seeing obviously can promote torrential downpours, as well as some of the strong winds making their way down to the surface. So that may be the one that's the tornado warning, in fact, most likely is. So we'll continue to follow it. Now you see another pass and it looks a little bit weaker, but these can tend to pulsate where you can get faked out and think, oh, maybe it's weakening a little bit, and then the next pass of the radar, it's back up looking stronger. So that's what you deal with this. You know, when there are sometimes tornadoes, even funnel clouds, we've seen them where they touch down, skip back up, touch down again farther down the line. I mean, it can be erratic behavior, but always you have to look at the risk with these storms, because the risk is so great because it's one of our most dangerous storms around. Any chance that we have to let viewers know with some warning based on a radar signal or reports we're getting or a combination of those, you know, we're going to do that. So that's what we're doing.
Harvey, when you talk about pulsating, we've talked about that a number of times this afternoon. If you could explain to our viewers, please, what exactly that means. I mean, we're not talking about pulsating winds exactly, but we're explain what it means.
Right, I'm just talking about in terms of how energetic something is. So, you know, it's very strong, and then it looks like it weakens a little, but then it gets a little stronger again. And so if you can imagine a funnel cloud, you know, emanating down from the base of the clouds and perhaps making its way down to the ground, sometimes it does that, then it's, you know, it skips something, it goes back up. Sometimes it never comes back down again. Sometimes it does. You know, these are things that, you know, we focus on all the time, and you have to follow it minute by minute, which is what we're doing. Just a couple of late reports. Just a moment ago, the tornado warning remains in effect until 4:15 for northeast Middlesex and central Essex County. A Doppler radar indicating severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located near Tewksbury, moving northeast at 30. So that particular cell, these are the areas being impacted by minimally a very heavy downpour and thunderstorm, and again, always the possibility of a tornadic situation. Lawrence, North Andover, Groveland, Hamilton, Reading, Wilmington, Middleton, North Reading, Andover, Tewksbury, Topsfield, Georgetown, and Boxford. And I just want to see if I have anything further to pass along.
And while you're doing that, Harvey, we've just received some video from Agawam. We've got a crew out there, and as you can see from this, there is just some very serious damage. Jack Harper reporting a little while ago that just about a little over an hour ago, this storm ripped through a 3-mile area of Agawam. Wherever it hit, it was only about 3 minutes in duration. Certainly long enough to cause some of the damage that you're looking at. They were very quick about getting the crews right out there and picking up some of the trees, but take a look at that truck. The back of it just slammed with a big tree that just, they were coming down like toothpicks, said Jack. And this car there, you can take a look at that. They just pulled the tree off that, but some of the trees just ripped up by the roots, knocked over. You can't only imagine the intensity of the wind and the storms. There's nothing I can say. Just look at this video. What says it all. And take a look at this radar. That's what says it all. That, you know, Harvey called it a magenta color, the heavy red, the areas that are affected until 4:15 this afternoon. Now about 20 minutes from now, no, make that about 25 minutes from now, again in the northeastern Middlesex County, which is in, as you know, the northeastern part of our state, as well as central Essex County in that same general area, affecting a dozen communities. North Middleton, Wilmington, Linfield, Lexington even, Danvers, Wakefield, Reading, Burlington, and then, you know, as far north as Lawrence and Beverly, North Andover, Groveland, Peabody, Hamilton, Wenham, Woburn, Chelmsford, Carlisle, and Bedford. You thought you were out of the woods, but as Harvey's been explaining, everything changes in a moment, folks. Everything happens so quickly when it's weather-related. And so until 4:15 this afternoon, the National Weather Service says there is still the potential, again, just the potential, but the conditions exist for a tornado in those communities we just mentioned in those two counties. Harvey and Danielle, this is all, you know, as we said, on the record now until 4:15. But then later this afternoon and this evening, what are you forecasting?
Well, I mean, there still may be some additional downpours scattered and thunderstorms around, but it looks like the heating of the day is the extra ingredient that can make these strong enough to become borderline tornadic. So losing that, the chances of anything tornadic as we get to the evening and tonight decreases a lot. But still, the chance of additional downpours does remain. We're in a very tropical and soupy air mass. I also wanted to point out, we're going to go to Danielle in 1 second. The cell we're showing on Weather 3 now also is a very strong cell that is just west of Beverly and Peabody. And I know you've been affected by other cells earlier. Then the sun pops out. You think it's over. Doesn't work that way. Here comes another strong cell that's approaching Peabody and Beverly at this particular time. There are all sorts of flood warnings, flood advisories also because of the rain and tremendous copious amounts of rain in a short period of time. Danielle's been working on that and other aspects of these storms. Danielle?
Yeah, that's right, Harvey, because, you know, we've been talking about that tornado-warned cell, but it's not only the fact of the potential for tornadoes, but also the potential for the very, very heavy rain. In fact, if we can go over, I want to go to Weather 1 and show you what's going on currently in terms of our flash flooding. That's something that's really important. We do have a flash flood warning in effect for central and northern Essex County, and this is going until 5:30, so you still have about an hour and a half. And remember, we're coming on the 4 o'clock hour, so that means a lot of people are getting leave from work. They're going to be on the roads, and flooding means any road can flood instantly, because what we're seeing is these thunderstorms are in a soupy air mass. You know, it's been very tropical, very humid, moist outside. You're seeing 1 to 2 inches of rain within an hour, and that will cause any road to flood. So we're talking about the northern and central Essex County until 5:30, also northern Middlesex, northeastern Worcester County until 5:45.
But Danielle, excuse me for a minute. What I really want to be clear about here, as you have said, we are talking about different warnings. There is a tornado warning that's in effect for the 2 counties that we mentioned, which again, just to reiterate, folks, northeastern Middlesex and central Essex. Those are the 2 counties where until 4:15 this afternoon, a tornado warning is in effect. But now, Danielle, what you're talking about, this other warning, is for flooding.
Yeah.
Something entirely different.
Yeah, Susan, because, you know, you were talking about what can we expect as we go into the evening,
right.
You know? And this is what I want to warn people about, because I'm thinking about all the people going home from work right now. And that's a major, major concern for me on the roads. The flash flooding, flooding is the #1 killer when it comes to weather. So we want to be really, really particular with this as well. These flash flood warnings in effect until 5:45, 5:30. So again, this is during the evening commute. 1 to 2 inches of rain have fallen within these thunderstorms, and there's still more of that. We also have flood advisories in effect. This area you see in green, that's talking about if you live near a small stream or urban flooding, we're dealing with that. And of course, we still do have that tornado warning, and that's the one right here. But it's because these thunderstorms have just been developing. We've been watching them all afternoon. They've been slowly moving from southwest to northeast, only at about 20 miles per hour. And because of that, we've been seeing a lot of heavy rain in an hour or so, 1 to 2 inches. That's a lot of rain in a very short amount of time. The good news is I can say, though, as we look at radar and we look farther to the south, you know, just towards Boston, you're getting some light showers. But then even Worcester, you're getting a little bit of a break right now. It looks like the heaviest, the yellows, the oranges, as Harvey had mentioned before, moving and exiting northeastern Mass, moving into southern New Hampshire as well as, and then into Maine. So.
And Danielle, it doesn't look like the South Shore is getting much of anything. I mean, we're looking at Brockton there, and it looks like maybe just, oh, yeah, as we widen it out.
Right, yeah, there we go. I widened it out for you. I don't want to trick you, but no, there are some places that you're thinking, what are we talking about? Right. I'm not seeing anything. But there is going to be that rain in the forecast as we continue not only through this evening, through the overnight, and even into tomorrow, because I'm going to widen this out just a little bit more to show you this. You can see, look at all this rain.
Right.
I mean, it's just coming from the mid-Atlantic up to us. I mean, this has been happening all morning, all afternoon, and it's going to continue into the evening. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see these flash flood warnings continuing through the evening.
And Danielle, stand by. You and Harvey, if you wouldn't mind for a moment, because we're going to go to Bill Ricca. We've been talking about Bill Ricca all afternoon, and John Curran, who's the town manager, is on the phone with us. And John, thanks for taking some time to tell us what's going on in Bill Ricca.
Hi, we're getting a little bit of flooding right now. We're getting some calls in our fire department and our police department around the Mount Pleasant Street area. We've had some flooding, But we've also been taking some precautionary measures. All of our recreational programs have been ended, and we had a farmers market out in the town common, and that's also been canceled. And we've extended the hours for our COA, our Council of Aging, because we've got people there. We don't want them to leave in the middle of this weather. So,
what is the weather at this moment, sir?
Well, it was just coming down in sheets. Right now, it has calmed down. In the last 2 minutes, it has stopped raining, but before that, it was coming down in sheets of water.
Well, we're happy to tell you, I'm sure you already know, that you are not part of the tornado warning that exists for another 17 minutes, because you're not in either northeastern Middlesex County or central Essex County. So for the time being in Billerica, it would appear that the worst is over for you, sir. But what kind of damage has been reported?
It's mostly flooding. I mean, Billerica has been through this before. We have emergency management crew that is used to responding to these types of calls. But we have 2 rivers running through Billerica, so this is something we're used to. But it's mostly flooding.
Any injuries to report, sir?
No, nothing yet.
And always that's the good news. So
yeah.
Let's hope that there will be no injuries and that the flooding will subside. What you mentioned that you have some emergency management crews. How about any power outages? Is that affected at all in Billerica tonight?
Yeah, I haven't had any reports of power outages as of yet. But we have had those in the past as well, so we're used to dealing with that issue too.
But the good news is that it has stopped, at least for the moment, raining. You do have some flooding in the area, but no, if I understand you correctly, John, no severe damage, and that's the good news, and no injuries. So
yes,
thank you very much.
It's good to hear that.
John Curran. We're going to go back to Harvey now. He's got some updated information.
Yes, this is the very latest, okay? Now we have a tornado warning until 4:30 for eastern Middlesex County in northeast Massachusetts, extreme northern Suffolk County in eastern Mass, southern Essex County in northeastern Mass. Now here's the story. We have a severe thunderstorm. It's capable of producing a tornado. It's located near Salem, about 3 miles west of Beverly. And we have weather 3 up if we can take that for the moment, because that's really showing us the cell that I think we're really talking about on weather 3. And it's moving northeast at 30 miles an hour. You can see here it is right around Peabody. And we had a phone call just moments ago from West Peabody that the rain was just torrential. That was the description, torrential. And this storm has been moving to the northeast at 30 miles an hour. So it means Lynn, Beverly, Gloucester, Peabody, Hamilton, Wenham, Danvers, Rockport, Ipswich, Essex, and Manchester. Okay, those are all the towns that are potentially going to be impacted by minimally this very, very strong torrential downpour, which has the potential to possibly be tornadic. Not necessarily,
so, Harvey,
but potential.
This is a new warning? This is not the other warning that was going to expire at 4:15, or is this that same warning that's just now been expanded to more communities in a longer period of time?
No, this actually is considered a new warning. Okay, so technically the other warning still exists. I have not seen it all clear on that I have been able to follow.
Well, we still have 15 minutes to go. There's 15 minutes on that one.
Correct.
So we're still continuing to watch this one. But this is a new warning for different communities. Yeah, and maybe if you could go over that again, because I don't have the information here, Harvey.
Okay.
So maybe you could go over that again, please.
Okay. Once again, this is the newest information. At 3:57 is when this officially came out, that a tornado warning is in effect for eastern Middlesex County, extreme northern Suffolk, and southern Essex County. So we have a very severe thunderstorm. You can see it on radar. We're time-lapsing it. You can see now it is just west of Beverly. You clearly see that's where the strongest part of the cell is. But there's also a cell now a little south of Peabody that's also pretty strong. So because of that, all the following locations are under the warned area: Lynn, Beverly, Gloucester, Peabody, Hamilton, Wenham, Danvers, Rockport, Ipswich, Essex, and Manchester. We're basically talking about from Boston's North Shore through northeastern corner of Massachusetts. The Cape Ann area obviously is involved in this as well. And this is a similar area to what was warned just, with a cell not that long ago. and now another cell is passing over the region. And with the prior cell, we did have a report of a wall cloud, possibly a rotating wall cloud that passed just south of Ipswich Bay.
What's a wall cloud?
A wall cloud is basically, sometimes it rotates. It's kind of like what becomes the supercell, and most of the time, if you do have a tornado, it does come out of a supercell. It's a very, very powerful, large cell. It can take on different characteristics. Sometimes it's a mushroom shape, and sometimes you see a little funnel or rope-like structure emanate out of it. I do want to say, and we will never ever minimize a tornado, because a tornado is a very dangerous storm. The weakest tornado is a very, very dangerous storm. So keep that in mind. But what we're seeing today are these possible, what we call mini supercells. These are not like some of the long track storms that can travel for, many, many miles for many hours and become a major, major tornadoes. They are smaller spin-ups that don't last as long. But nonetheless, we still have that. If we switch over to Weather 1, we've put the tracker on Weather 1 now. So if we can, so there we go, to Weather 1. And you can see now, the towns and the number of minutes for the heaviest part of the cell to pass over. That is, all of those towns are in the tornado-warned area.
And let's go over that again, Harvey, please, if you wouldn't mind. Extreme eastern Middlesex County, which, of course, is in the northeastern part of the state. And then also, you mentioned extreme northern Suffolk County in eastern Massachusetts.
Right. That's because if, again, we're switching back and forth, so you have to allow me on Weather 1 and Weather 3. There is a southern extent to the cell. The very strongest cell appears to be just west of Beverly, but there's also a very strong cell that's just gone east of Peabody, and another one that is stretching a little bit farther south. So it's possible that areas not that far north of Boston could catch the southern tip of this system, as it's moving off to the east. So that's why included in the towns are Lynn, for example. Okay, even though it appears the strongest is going to pass north of Lynn, there's a southern part to this near the tip, just in case that may become the stronger part of this. You have that within the area. Sometimes it looks like one cell is a little stronger, and then suddenly 2 moments later the southern storm seems slightly stronger.
Right.
So,
earlier on the phone we talked with the mayor of Leominster, who talked about the torrential downpours. And Harvey, we have some video now that really drives home how difficult it has been in Leominster this afternoon, and just how devastating some of this rain has been. Take a look at this, folks. I mean, this is shot in Leominster just within the hour. You can tell how this is an area that normally is it does not have that much rain. Not that much rain. Doesn't have that much water. This is certainly more than a puddle. We haven't heard about any important damage or any devastation in Leominster, certainly. But this does give you an idea, folks, of how quickly some area that has no water at all can suddenly become a small pond. And when we talked to Mayor Mazzarella about, I would say about an hour or so ago, he said that it just poured. It poured and poured. There wasn't a lot of thunder or lightning, and there certainly wasn't any hail. But all that heavy rain, Harvey, really can have an impact very quickly.
Absolutely. We also want to pass along something. Now, keep in mind, when we're in a situation like this, of course, we're hoping that information we're getting is accurate, so we can't completely verify it in such a short period of time. But we did have a call and a report, possibly in Lynn, that it's possible a large oak tree could be on someone's front yard, which could have snapped from the base from strong winds from one of these cells. So again, that's just a phone call that's come into us, just letting you know that possibility exists. So we do know that in the strongest cells here, there are stronger damaging winds as well.
And again, the areas that are affected, the individual communities include Lynn and Beverly, Gloucester, Peabody, Hamilton, Wenham, Danvers, Rockport, Ipswich, Essex, and Manchester, and this will continue for about another 24 minutes, folks, because this is in effect until 4:30 this afternoon, right, Harvey?
That is correct. And actually, Danielle's working on our storm tracker software as well, so she's going to give you the track on the 2 strongest storms that we're following. Danielle?
Yeah, that's right, Harvey. Just want to let you know that one that's centered over Peabody, that's the one we are looking for. It's actually right over Peabody right now. Next in line to get hit is in 7 minutes. It'll be in Beverly. And then as we keep going up there, you notice 18 minutes in Hamilton and 21 minutes in Essex. Now, this is the same system or the same thunderstorm line that's been moving through. And you notice within there's pockets of thunderstorms that we are really concerned with. I want to also storm track the other line that we are concerned with, the other cell. It's basically right by North Reading. These are generally moving in the northeast at about 30 now, so they're picking up speed just a tad. They were right around 25 before. This one is moving to Boxford in about 20 minutes, and Georgetown will be there in about 26 minutes. So again, these are the two individual cells that we're the most concerned with, where they are tornado warned. That means they are capable of producing a tornado. Like we said, we have not had any reports of one on the ground, but that being said, you still want to take your tornado precautions. So again, if you're living in this area, if you are, please go to the lowest level, center of your house. Also, if you have a basement, that would be obviously the best spot to be at.
Absolutely, Danielle, and that's what we've been talking about all afternoon. And my colleague Liz Bruner joins me here now on the anchor desk. And Liz, I know you've also been watching this this latest warning, which is in effect until 4:30 this afternoon. And you know the communities we're looking at.
Yeah, there are a number of communities, Susan, that are being impacted until 4:30 now, and they include Lynn, Beverly, Gloucester, Peabody, Hamilton, Wenham, Danvers, Rockport, Ipswich, Essex, and Manchester. So this continues to expand, and as we've been talking all afternoon, and Danielle and Harvey and Susan, all of you have been mentioning today, what's very scary about these kinds of storms is that the skies can look clear, and then all of a sudden something comes barreling through. So I know that you've been monitoring this situation all afternoon, and there's so many things that people can do to take care and be cautious when there is a tornado warning. So Danielle and Harvey, I'm not sure which one of you is ready to jump right in here, but again, we know that this is going on until 4:30 this afternoon, and I've had an opportunity to see some of the pictures that have been coming in to Channel 5. We're going to be trying to get some of those on the air for our viewers this afternoon, but some of those pictures have been extraordinary. The damage, it's just amazing how quickly that can happen.
Yeah, there's no question. I do want to get Weather 3 up for folks right now because, again, we're tracking the one that's responsible for the tornado warning that's in effect until 4:30. So if we can switch over to Weather 3, there we go. You can see the cell traveling from west to east. Notice the core of the cell is right around State Highway 127. You can see the storm as it's been moving through Peabody and Beverly. We know it had torrential rain with it, and it's moving eastward pretty quickly, around 25, 30 miles an hour. But it is an impressive cell, and it is possible that it can be tornadic. We would not know that for sure unless we get an actual ground truth report of that, but there is the possibility of damaging winds with that cell, torrential rains, lightning, of course, and it's moving eastward right along. So the next thing to be concerned about is going to also be the offshore waters, because there's a special marine warning that was issued at 4 o'clock that stays in effect until 5 o'clock. This is for coastal waters east of Ipswich Bay, and here's the story. That severe thunderstorm is capable of producing water spouts. That's a tornado over the water. So while it's a tornado warning over land, there's the risk of a water spout over water. Right now, the cell has been moving very close to the north shore of Boston, as you can see. It's moving northeast at 25 knots. It affected Marblehead, and now it's continuing to move eastward. So we have to watch that. I'm going to kind of widen out here for a second on our radar a little bit, so just bear with me a moment. And I want you to see how Essex and Gloucester. Now, Gloucester also has to follow this cell very, very carefully, because as it moves east of Beverly, you can see that it's on its way pretty close to the Gloucester area if it holds together as a very strong cell. Once again, the intensity of these can vary over time, so that's why we follow it ever so carefully to watch the ones that get stronger, others that get weaker, and you still have a developing situation here where the atmosphere is ripe for other storms to develop that can be strong. So that's why you may hear of a warning, then you may hear that one come down, then you hear a new one pop up. That's what we're dealing here with these kinds of cells. Danielle, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I wanted to also go over and just go through what's going on. You know, obviously we've been talking about this tornado warning, and that is definitely the most imminent thing. But also, you know, it is coming on 4:15, so people are going to be driving home from work at this point, and so we have a lot of other warnings to talk about, not just the tornado warning, but also flash flood warning. Remember, flash flooding is a major deal. And if we can go over to Weather One, I just want to show you the areas that are under that flash flood warning. You see the areas in the red, that dark red color. The one is going till 5:30. That is for northern and central Essex County. 1 to 2 inches have fallen within these thunderstorms, and so the flash flooding looks imminent. If you do see any type of flooded roads or any puddles in the road, you don't want to try to drive through them because you never know. We also have another flash flood warning also in effect for northern Middlesex and Worcester counties, and that is till 5:45. And also a flood advisory in effect until 5:15, and this one's more for the urban and small streams. So if you're living in poor drainage areas, you definitely want to be careful because there's definitely going to be some flooding. But obviously, the big thing right now, at least the one we're concentrating on, is the tornado warning. Isn't that right, Harvey?
Absolutely, no question about it. That's the cell. The one that you can see is located. The strongest part of it has gone through Beverly, as you can see. It's moving through the eastern part of Beverly. It's just south of Essex, and there you see Gloucester. What I'm going to do with this, just for a moment, is I'm going to stop the loop here as soon as we get to the end of it, and I'm going to try to see what we can do here and get a little street level mapping involved. So this is what I want you to notice. Okay, there's 128. All right, that's as you can see, part of that cell is moving right through 128 now. So you can be sure that minimally there is flooding on 128 in that small area. That obviously makes a really terrible situation for drivers. We've had situations like that earlier today on other highways. Weather 3, if we can switch over to Weather 3, please, because that's where I have the street level mapping on. There you go. There's where you can see State Highway 128. And also you can see as the storm has moved through Beverly, it is right on 128. That's why I mentioned that undoubtedly in that stretch of 128, very poor driving conditions at this particular time. And now I'll loop it, and so you'll be able to see how the cell has been moving from west to east. See the deep reds, and sometimes you see the purple colors in there. That always lets us know there's a possibility of hail, and sometimes if it takes on a little bit of a hook kind of look, that sometimes is a signal that there can also be rotation, and some rotation has been spotted by radar as well with these some of these cells.